have to start. Good morning.
Good morning.
We continue with measuring inflation and unemployment. We talked about CPI yesterday, Consumer Price Index, which measures the change in prices for consumers based on what they bought the previous year, the same quantity, and the price this year. That changes is what Consumer Price Index is about. So there's always inflation. And with Consumer Price Index, we know the value of the inflation. We know the rate of inflation. It's not only consumers that buy. Producers do buy too. They buy raw materials. They buy fuel. They buy these things. So these things also change in price. So the changes in price on these things I just mentioned now is known through the Producer Price Index, PPI. So what is a PPI? A PPI measures the change in the price of a typical basket of goods bought and sold by manufacturers. CPI talks about consumers, what we bought. But here we're talking about PPI, which is basically for producers, what they buy in the course of producing that good or service. It reflects the relative importance of different types of products to manufacturers. So this tells us what are important for producers to be able to produce what they have to produce or what they are used to produce. So we bought raw materials last year, this time last year. What was the price of the raw materials we bought this time last year? And the price of raw material that we bought, the quantity, this time, now, the present time. So that is what PPI measures. So PPI includes, for PPI it includes the input price and the output price, or called price of finished goods. We call it gate price. So for input price, we're talking about those things we need to be able to purchase those goods and services we are talking about. Do you get what I'm saying here? We have input price. Input price are those things that we spend on when we are about to produce goods and services. Input, the land, the labor, the capital, the enterprise, they are all inputs. So the amount we spend on them are called the input price. That's the price of materials. And they are for fuel and what? Materials, raw materials that we bought, and fuel, maybe for the generator or for the plant. They are all inputs. And as soon as this product is produced, we still spend more. It doesn't stop there, it doesn't end there, because they have to be converted into finished goods. So the amount we spend in converting them to finished goods is called the gate price. Factory gate price. In the factory, it has a gate, right? It means the product is leaving the factory to be sold to either the wholesalers or to the retailers or to the final consumer. So the amount we spend on those ones are called the factory gate price or output price. We have two prices here. We have the input price, which is about the raw materials and the fuel. We have the output price or the factory gate price, which is about the prices of finished goods. This is a finished good. Raw materials, those are the things we use in producing this bottled water. So the price of those things that we use in producing this, the plastic, the water that has to be, cleaned and whatever they have to do to it, purified, it is raw materials. So as soon as this bottled water is made, it goes out of the factory. That is what we call factory gate price. I think PPI is clear. So what do we use PPI for? The first one. It is used as an indicator of a future trend in inflation. Because we have to measure our PPI, we will know if the price remains the same or the price has changed over time. So last year we bought the raw materials for the bottled water for $5. This year we are buying it for $6, so there's a change in price. So PPI is an indicator to know the trend in inflation. And the second point, as soon as goods are produced, they have to leave the factory for consumers to be able to buy them. So they pass through the channel of distribution. That is business. So as soon as they pass through these channels, what happens with them? They must be calculated. They have to be calculated. So producers or wholesalers, producers will sell to either wholesalers or retailers. What happens afterwards is the producers, how much are they selling to wholesalers? Please close the door. How much are they selling to retailers? So if retailers feel that, the price we are buying from producer has increased, they have to pass on the price to consumers. Get the point here. As soon as the product is made, it leaves the factory. It's going out of the factory. It has to be sold to either wholesalers or retailers. So with PPI, wholesalers or retailers would know if they are paying more on those goods than what they used to pay. If they are paying more on those goods than what they used to pay, wholesalers will pass the price on to retailers. And now retailers are paying more. Retailers will pass on the price to we consumers. So PPI allows them to know, because they will be able to know, they will be able to measure the change in the price they bought it the previous year and the change in price they are buying it at the present time. This is all about PPI. And that takes us to measuring unemployment. For unemployment, I divide unemployment before as a situation whereby someone that is actively economical is looking for a job but couldn't find one. That is unemployment. So here I wrote, the measuring of unemployment is important to an economy as it states the economic performance of such economy. When we talk about economic performance, if there's unemployment in the economy, it means that the economy is not reaching its full potential. Some resources are not used. Not only human, even resources. If resources are unemployed, it means we cannot reach our PPC, which is the ultimate we can produce. So if you are not fully utilizing your economy, it means you cannot produce the output you are supposed to produce. You are not active. You are underemployed. So if there's unemployment in terms of human, if there's unemployment in terms of raw materials, it means the economy itself is not producing what it's supposed to produce. So that is what unemployment is. So we have some definitions about unemployment. The first one, the population of the working age. Who are those in working age? Between 16 to 65. I mean, as soon as you can leave school, as soon as you leave school, you are able to work and you can retire maybe at 65 or above. So between 16 to 65 is called the working age population. Do you get working age population here?
But Mr. There is children labor.
Child labor.
Yeah.
It is status 3. So it means the law of each country determines what the age is before you can start working. But most of the country, according to the International Labour Organization, ILO, it's between 16 to 65. So anything below that should be considered as child labor. Clear? The second one, the unemployed. Who are the unemployed? Those that are actively looking for jobs, seeking for jobs, but they couldn't find one. But as soon as they can find one, within the next 2 weeks, they are able to work. That is the definition of an unemployed. They've been looking for a job for the last 4 weeks. They couldn't find one. But they are ready to work as soon as they can find one within the next 2 weeks. That means they are ready to work. Not like I'm unemployed and I'm not looking for a job. Those are what we call voluntary unemployment. What do I call it? Voluntary unemployment. That means you're not even looking for a job. But we're talking about those that are actively looking for a job, but they couldn't find one. They've been looking for it for the last 4 weeks. That means for the past 1 month, they couldn't find it. But they are ready to work in the next 2 weeks. That is the definition of the unemployed, according to the ILO, International Labour Organization. The third one, the employed. Who are those that are employed? You're talking about those that are engaged by either an individual or a firm. Right now, I'm engaged. I have a job. So if I'm working with a company, like in this school, I'm working with this school, that means I'm engaged, I'm employed. But if I don't, I might also be employed by someone. Working for someone else is also employed. And I might be working for myself, self-employed. Do you understand employed here? So for employed, we have those that are employed with part-time job, those that are employed with full-time. So what means the difference? What's the difference between having a part-time job and having a full-time job? Having a full-time job means you're working in the hours that are norm for the job. So, you're supposed to work 84 hours or 24 hours or 16 hours. According to this job, that means you're doing full-time. And the numbers of days is intact. The numbers of days, the numbers of hours you're working is norm to the job you're doing. That is full-time. But if you're just working a proportion of what a full-time worker does, that is part-time. Get the difference here. Full-time can be anyway. It can be on any structure. So it means what we have to understand about full-time is that a full-time worker is that individual that is working the numbers of hours, the numbers of days that is normal for that job. That is full-time. But if you are working in proportion to the numbers of hours, the numbers of days that is normal for a job, it is part-time. Do you get the difference here? Working the numbers of hours, the numbers of days that is normal for the job is full-time. Working in proportion to the numbers of hours and the numbers of days that is normal for the job is part-time. Is it clear? Is it clear, please?
Yes.
Okay. Then we have the labor force. Why do we call them the labor force? The labor force is the combination of the employed and the unemployed. In as much as you are within this age, you are part of the labor force. You having a job, that means you are employed. You not having a job, that is unemployed. But you are within the category of the labor force. Do we understand the labor force? So the labor force of Libya are those who are actively employed or unemployed. But they are within the age category to work. They are the labor force. Do we get it? The labor force is also called the economic active population. The economic active population, or the labor force, which means they are really having a job, they can work. And then we have the economic inactive. These are like students, like you guys are economic inactive because you are not at that stage to work. Or parents that are home taking care of children, they are economically inactive. Do we understand economically inactive here? There's economic active, economic inactive. There's labor force, which is economically active. And there's economically inactive people, those that are students, categorized as students, and those that are home, taking care of children. I think it's clear. Then the last one we have is about underemployed. We have the underemployed people. Who are those underemployed people? These are people that have a job but still need more hours of work. They have a job but they still have spare hours that they want to engage with. Do we get underemployed? Yeah. So these are all the terms for population. So in the next class we talk about measuring